What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you if you're listening on the day this comes out. And thank you for joining me for episode number 19 already. Almost to my milestone goal of 20 episodes. I said I would make it to no matter what. And I am booked well past that now. So excited for the future and where this will all lead. I definitely do not plan on stopping anytime soon. I was just down in Texas. Sorry, I needed some coffee. For my girlfriend's birthday, Gladys. It feels weird to say girlfriend when you're 40. Should I say partner? Is that more adult? But we've been together longer than a lot of married couples. We're just not married, at least yet. But I was down there for her birthday, hung out with our good friends, Zacho and Talia. And I was looking forward to warm weather because Ohio spring still sucks and it's cold right now. And of course, Texas ended up being cold and shitty and kind of rainy. So that messed up some of our plans, but still had a great time. Now I'm back home in Ohio and it's 30 degrees. So I am looking forward to whenever spring wants to get its shit together and bring some warm weather in. But from a second story window, we're moving along with this new EP. We are old and busy, but we will have it finished by this summer. No release date yet, but really excited about the material. I think it's going to be the best stuff we've ever written. I know everyone fucking says that, but I believe it. So stoked for you guys to hear it and see what we've been working on all this time. But this summer, we will also, if you haven't heard, be playing some shows. We're going to be in Detroit, August 22nd at the Sanctuary, and Chicago at Sleeping Village on August 23rd. So a couple shows in that weekend, little mini tour there. Tickets are on sale for both of those right now. You can head to the From a Second Story window link tree, the link in our bio, to grab those. And real quick, before we get started, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, it would mean a lot to me if you would leave a rating for the show. It helps tremendously when new people come to check it out and see that, hey, this show doesn't suck and I do a good job. If you believe that and if you're enjoying the show, I would appreciate that. Also, be sure to hit the follow button so you don't miss future episodes. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, like the episode, leave a comment, tell me what you think. Let me know who you'd like me to have on. Demolish that subscribe button or whatever retarded shit those people say. But thank you very much. In other news, I do have the Riff Tacos website in the process of being built. That will kind of be the home base for everything, just rifftacos.com. There's nothing up there yet, but I'll have like the merch store there. You can sign up for the newsletter, all that good stuff. And right now the mailing list is available. You can sign up for free and get weekly updates about episodes and just what'll be going on. So you can sign up for that at the Riff Tacos Instagram right now until the website is built, but it's in the highlights section and in the link tree. I'm going to be testing some YouTube live, like Riff Tacos live hangouts, just shooting the shit with people. You can suggest things for me to talk about on the show or questions for guests or guests in general. Just hang out and shoot the shit. I'm going to try to do that like once or twice a month at least to start and see how that goes. So I'll also let you know in the newsletter when I'll be doing those. So please sign up for that if you're interested. Today, I'm going to be joined by Kevin Boutot, former and longtime drummer of the Acacia strain, who's been on every record since Continent. I'm pretty sure he joined the band in 2005, maybe earlier. But he's one of my favorite people. I met on tour. Fastweb toured with Acacia Strain a lot before I was in the band, while I was in the band. He's a down-to-earth guy, obviously a monster behind the kit. Last time I saw him in person was like 2012 or 2013 maybe, when I was living in LA, and they came through on a huge tour. It was like Under Oath, Acacia Strain, Cancer Bats, Architects, just a crazy lineup. So excited to catch up with him and talk about his time in the band and what's going on in his life now. Let's get going. This is Riff Tacos, episode number 19 with Kevin Boutot. So, Mr. Kevin Boutot, what's up, dude?
Oh, just living life, baby.
Yeah, it's it's been a long time since I've seen you in person. I think it was like 2012 or 13, maybe, when you guys came through LA and I was living there.
Yep, I want to say, yeah, that was with, oh man, what tour was that? I want to say
It was a crazy lineup because I remember there was like a bunch of friends on it. It was like Under Oath, Cancer Bats, Architects.
It was the Cool Tour.
Is that what it was called?
It was called, yes. As I Lay Dying. The, ooh, actually,
Oh, that's right.
let's edit. Let's do some silly editing over that. Over that. So like, bing bong, ding.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
You guys had come through, and I hit you up, and you came out and got me in the parking lot. So it was cool to see everybody, and
yeah, man, that was holy shit. That was so long ago.
it was. And then I'm like, holy shit, that's over 10 years now. It doesn't feel like that long at all.
No, dude, there's so many different tours and things that'll just pop up in my head randomly, and it always feels like I know you'll probably agree. It feels just like yesterday for most of this stuff.
Yeah,
But
like since we kind of came back and are doing this little like reunion run thing, like it doesn't feel like that long ago. It feels like you just hop right back in the seat, and
Mhm.
after so many years of doing it and like living it on the road, it's just kind of like riding a bike. You're like, oh, okay, I remember this. Like this feels like home.
Yep, yeah.
And
But I've been out of the saddle for a little while now, which has been
yeah,
nice.
did you leave the band in 2023 or 24?
2023,
Okay,
very suddenly, very unexpected.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. Was that like just you had enough, or like what kind of happened there?
no, it was I had a phone call with my mother one day on tour, and she was hanging out with my daughter that day, in particular. Um, and I'm gonna try to get through this quick so I don't get all choky, but
All good.
my daughter, it was becoming too hard, and she made it very clear to my mom about it. And my mom called me and told me, and it was literally it was the hardest and easiest decision I've ever had to make.
That
All
makes
that I had to
sense.
make in a very long time, and it was instant. Also, it was like the bubbles went off and everything clicked pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just too hard for her for me to be
How
gone
old
so
was
much.
she at the time?
That time she was 7.
7. Okay. And
So
were
yeah.
you kind of like leaning that way already at all, or just all of a sudden hit you like,
I mean,
were you not ready to be done? I guess is the question. And then that kind of was like, okay, I need to.
in a way I was ready to be done. The touring was just like, you know, it was nice. Everything about it was good. It was, the shows are always good. The money was good. Nothing seemed to be slowing down. Everything was just going faster and faster. Excuse me. But just the being away from home part and sleeping in a van still.
Yeah.
Um, you know, almost 40-year-old bodies aren't meant to be sleeping against or along van bed sheets for more than half their life. So,
Right. And in
my
order to
body,
keep that money good at that level, like you can't spend the extra on the bus and all that.
no, unfortunately, no. Um, yeah, you get home with some pennies as opposed to a nice paycheck.
Yeah.
So we definitely, I mean, I'm pretty sure that they still choose, you know, I mean, I had no problem with it necessarily choosing the paycheck over the comfort,
Mm.
but that was the start away. It wasn't the most fun or most
Yeah,
good on your most the best on your body. That's for sure.
for sure. Especially like playing shows every night, and then like it even being in our 20s, I remember hitting my mid 20s and going, okay, this is starting to become too much. And then you guys have been going this entire time since we broke up, so I can only imagine. And like you said, like you guys were like a freight train, you just never stopped.
No.
If you're a touring musician, you know how important it is to have reliable merchandise that represents your brand and keeps fans coming back for more. That's where Gorilla Joe Printing comes in. They specialize in high quality printing and custom merchandise made to make your fans feel like they are part of the experience. From t-shirts to patches and any unique memorabilia in between. Gorilla Joe Printing also helps forecast your inventory, whether you're on or off the road, so you never run out of stock or end up with too much. They even help bands manage their e-commerce stores, keeping your merch business running smoothly 24/7 so you can focus on what you do best, performing. For more info, check out GorillaJoePrinting.com.
I think the only thing that really ever slowed us down was COVID, just
Yeah.
like every other band. But I mean, the first tour we did once we came back, it was the that Wormwood. It was the 2 nights in every city, Wormwood one night, and then it comes in waves in the other. And that was, man, being home from tour for almost 2 years and then being gone for, it was like almost 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was fun, and thankfully it was like the 2 nights in each city, so like we were able to like rest a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But holy shit, man, to be gone that long. And during COVID, during most of that time too, um, my daughter and I were together a lot of that downtime.
Mm-hmm.
So me being there so constantly for all that time, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, see ya for,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
got to be a shock for
weeks.
her.
Yeah. So it was like before that, she was like, oh, he's just on tour. Like to her, she's like, oh, he's just down the street, basically somewhere. Like he's just playing his drums with his friends somewhere, but for a really long time.
Yeah.
Not really grasping like how, you know, the distance and everything.
Right. So
But
other than COVID, what was like the longest break you guys ever took over that time?
um I want to say maybe at the most, I can't even, maybe 6 months, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
But that was usually, it was like during like a recording,
Mm-hmm.
process or something like, or writing in the recording process. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I think, it's funny. I think it was 2023. 2022 was like our slowest year. We only did like we only did a handful of things. We did like two, like 3 week, 2.5 week, 3 week tours, and that was really it. And then we um wrote and recorded what's it called? Holy shit. Step Into the Light and Failure Will Follow. Um but yeah, man, we weren't really gone that much in 2023. So it was like, or 2022. So 2022 was like our slowest year ever as a band. And then 2024, wow. 2022 was the slowest year of our band. 2023 was going to be like the craziest, probably since like 2005 or 2006, busiest year that the
Oh
band has
wow.
had. Which, started out with leaving. We went to Europe for a month. For basically all of February, we were gone. Came home for a week, and then we did that co-headliner with Fit for an Autopsy. And then we were only home again for a couple weeks, and then did it was like just over a week with Integrity, and then came home, did a CD release thing, came home, and then it was actually, I think it was the next tour after that was when, I think that was my last tour after that. But there was a few other things in between there that was just like there was so much happening. It was like we were home for like just long enough to be like, all right, this is nice, and then we were pulled away again. And luckily, nothing was super long, like the durations that we were gone, like that Fit for an Autopsy tour. That was only 3 weeks, which, it's like 3 weeks is like, for me, as if I were to like ever start touring again, it would be something that would, be worth doing. 3 weeks is like, that's like my mental capacity, like cap.
Yeah.
It's just like, everything after that. And then, but if you're on like a 4 or 5 or 6 week fucking tour, it's like 3 days to it. I'm like looking at the past, like, oh fuck.
Yeah. I would always find
There's
like,
so much left. I don't want to do it, but I do want to do it, and I don't want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like the 3 week mark. You're starting like I felt the same way, kind of like you're starting to go, "Ooh, man, and we still got what like 10 days left or whatever." But then it's like if
Mm-hmm.
you had to keep going another 3 weeks, if you could make it through that like hard week and a half, then you kind of got that second wind. And at least when I was younger and I had no responsibilities, like I would get tired and then I go, okay, well, I guess I would just go home and do nothing and I don't have a job or anything to go back to. So I could kind of get a second wind and just keep going because being on tour then was at least a better life for 20-year-old me than being at home.
Yes, yes, I will agree with that as well. Young Kevin definitely being on tour was better than being stuck in my hometown in Connecticut. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so that's where you're born and raised, Connecticut?
Yes, sir. Little old town called Naugatuck.
Okay.
It's right next to Waterbury for those that are familiar. Next to the Brass City.
Brass City? Not
Brass
familiar.
City hardcore, man.
Uh,
No, like let's see, like half a hate breed was from Waterbury.
okay.
100 Demons. Most of those guys are from Waterbury. A lot of Connecticut hardcore bands. A lot of them, at least a lot of the older ones came from Waterbury. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like the hard city to be from.
Gotcha.
It's tough.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about like your background and how you kind of got started playing drums or first got into music even when you were young. Like, do you
Mm.
remember if there was like a pivotal moment when you first heard like a record or a song that you were like, holy shit, this sparked something, like music's gonna be a big thing for me.
Well, I was basically surrounded by music. Hold on, my dog is jealous that she's not being interviewed. Also, so I gotta put her
Aw.
real quick.
Hey
This is
there.
Mary. This is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
So for me, I was basically thrown into music immediately. My father played drums also. And he was always in different like cover bands and whatnot when I was growing up. And they always had practice at my house. So my
Nice.
basement was just always, there was always something going on down there. Um, and that's when I remember sitting down on the basement steps and just like watching my dad play and being like, that looks way cooler than everything else that these other guys are doing. These guys are just standing still holding stuff, and it's like my dad's back there smashing shit with sticks. Like that's what
Yeah.
I want to do.
So you're instantly
um,
drawn to drums.
yeah, instantly drawn to it. I don't know. It's drums for me. It came very natural as long as I can remember. Oh, excuse me. Um, I think just from watching him and understanding and just really focusing on his movements and like what sounds were making what and like how it all just it just all made sense to me. So when he gave me my first drum kit when I was about 4, and I'll never forget a couple days into having it, I was very curious and let my intrusive thoughts win, and seeing how durable drum heads were. You all right, girl? Seeing how
Bless you.
durable drum heads were. Um, and my mode of finding out that was taking a hammer
Oh
and
no.
seeing and taking these two small hammers and like playing the drums on them, and then I broke the drum heads, and then I remember my dad coming home, and I was like, "Yeah, can't we just like tape these back up or something?" And he was just like, "He's like the sticks, just use the sticks, god damn it."
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, what's a 4-year-old to do when he's sitting there looking at stuff that he can hit and probably won't break it too bad.
Right.
Um,
At
yeah,
least he was
that
probably
was
proud you were hitting hard.
right. Which is another thing that I've always another thing that I've always I took from him that I always still keep true now is he said he was like no matter how big of a room you're in, no matter how many microphones are on your drum kit, or it doesn't matter how many people are there, how many people aren't there. He said he always said hit your drums as if no one there is going to hear you
Yeah.
to make sure no matter what that they can hear you.
That's fucking right. I
Yeah,
hate
and I was
pussy
like,
drummers unless the music calls for it. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't be sitting there, playing like 280 BPM blast beats or some shit like that. But bring your arm up all the way and fucking rim shotting everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some. Are you all right, girl? What's going on? There's some freaks out there that are just like. I mean, what's this? Alex from Despised Icon playing with upside down marching sticks.
Yeah.
Like what? Like
Yeah.
like what the fuck is that about, man?
And some
He's
of the
just.
younger kids I see on Instagram these days, like guitar too, just like, what the fuck? You guys are
Hmm.
freaks. Just like, so what's
Yep.
happening in like with like in sports and stuff, like kids are faster and stronger than ever. It's just the way things go as like, technology progresses and you have access to things earlier in life with social media and internet, and like you can just learn anything you want. And like when we started, it was kind of like, I guess I could find some tabs and shit, and or
Yeah.
you had to take lessons, and I hated that. So it was just figure it out for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to go online and ask Jeeves if there was any
I forgot
any
about Ask
tablature.
Jeeves. Yeah.
Oh man, I refer to asking Jeeves a lot, and there are even people in our age group that they're like, fucking what? That's
Yeah.
cool. I'm like, God damn it! Did you guys not have a computer when you were like 14 or
Was that
15?
before Google search or was it at the same
Hmm.
time? Okay.
It was like or Yahoo was like I think the first like big one, and
Yeah.
then Ask Jeeves came out, and I believe Google. I'm probably very wrong about this, but I think it was like the whole like search engine, like the whole like basis of Ask Jeeves. Google bought that, I believe, and then they built off
Okay.
that. But
Yeah.
dude, I'm probably so wrong. I'm not
I
the.
I do remember it. I just barely remember using it at all. But yeah.
You know what?
Uh,
Let's ask Google what happened to Jeeves.
now I ask Chat GPT everything. I use it all the time.
Oh my
Uh,
God, you were absolutely correct. Shit.
yeah.
Okay. Listen, we got to get down to the bottom of this. All right. Agree. Okay. What happened? This is going to be the development of 2025 right now. Okay. What happened to
While
Ask
you do that, I'm closing my
Jeeves?
blinds behind me because they're blowing out the light.
Okay. Let's see. If it says something about Google buying this shit, okay, launched in 1996 by who cares? 2005, the company rebranded, dropping Jeeves. Oh, Ask.com.
Okay. I remember that now.
Ask.com is still a thing.
Yep.
Ask.com faced challenges in gaining significant market share against dominant players like Google. Over the years, Ask.com has shifted its focus into being a general search engine to emphasizing a question and answer format.
Mm.
So it's still around, but
Yep.
they still got their shtick. You
I
just got to
noticed
ask them questions.
they all have their own AI now. Like even like Google, it's like an AI response at the top. I guess you could
Hmm.
probably turn that off, but yeah, shit's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Fucking
so
AI, dude.
what kind of music did your dad play?
So, well, he's the reason why Rush is one of my top three favorite bands. Did a lot of Rush covers, and they did a lot of like 80s metal, like
Nice.
in the vein of like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Queensryche, bands like that.
Mhm.
Um, and then they would also take other songs, like so they took I don't even know if this is actually the name of the song, but the Train Kept Rolling, all that the Aerosmith song, you know what I'm talking
Uh,
about? Train
uh,
kept rolling all night long, train kept
yeah,
rolling all night
yeah,
long. That song. They took that song and they covered it, but they like slowed it down and gave it like a different groove. And
nice.
it was I have no way of showing this to you. I just remember in my head listening to like the live recordings from their shows, but it was just oh dude, it was so cool. Um, and then my uncle Jerry, my uncle Jerry could literally he could just sit here and you could put any instrument in front of him and he'd pick it up like, okay, and then just start playing it. Whether it be a brass instrument or guitar, bass, drums, he could sing,
Wow,
piano, anything. He was just one of those, like just naturally just had it.
I'm so jealous of that.
Guitar was definitely his, like guitar and bass and like piano. Those are those are definitely his like strong suits.
Mm.
But as soon as he found a note on something, he was like, "Oh, that's what that note is. I can find everything else in there."
Yeah.
Um, and
Did
he,
you ever dabble in any other instruments, or did you just straight drums?
I, so I went a lifetime of having mis undiagnosed ADHD. So I would with drums, I'm able to just like just hyper focus, like there's nothing else in the world going on when I'm playing. Um, but when it comes to, and I'm sure anybody else with ADHD could sit here and probably agree with this, how when you want to learn something new and it's like a branch off of something you're already really good at and you can't get good at it immediately,
Hmm.
it's frustrating. So then you go, ah, fuck it. I already know how to play drums. I'm gonna go back to play drums.
Right.
So it would be like that with guitar or bass or piano. Like, I don't know, I would just sit there and be like, oh, I should definitely know how to do this. I've seen enough, I've watched enough people do it. I've heard enough guitar played. I should be able to just figure this out right away.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that's just not how it works. And I was just getting impatient. Um, but I have been saying to myself so much lately how like, like jamming with friends or like a couple different band like projects I have going now. It's like, damn man, I really wish I knew how to play guitar because me trying to like mouth a riff out, um, it's hard for me to translate the riff without just automatically turning that riff into like the drum beat with my mouth. And it's just
Right.
like, God, it's like, why don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah.
You Sean,
I
just
get.
plug in right here. Then you'll be able to pull it out. Um, yeah, it's just guitar is something I feel like I definitely should learn how to play. Oh, excuse me. Um, and then I just got a little MIDI keyboard for my computer to learn how to actually start. See, this is another thing. I spent the money on this thing, so now I have to figure it out
Right.
and learning how to like write some stuff on my computer because us folks with that musical brain, like like right now we're having this podcast, we're talking, we're chatting, but also somewhere in the background there's just like music playing
Mhm. Always.
always. And whether it be something that like I know already, or it could just be like a melody for something that I have no idea what the hell it is, but it sounds cool, and I need to learn how to put that down somewhere instead of most times just sitting there and humming it out to myself forever and ever, going, "Oh yeah, I gotta make a voice note of this real quick," with my
Yeah.
phone in my hand, saying, "Oh, I need to make a voice note," but then not making that voice note,
Yeah.
and
I
and
think you'll
then
love it.
it
I picked up
sails.
Logic, this time around. We never did like our own demos before, back in the day, but this time, like, I'll demo stuff out in GarageBand, like in program drums, and I got I got pretty good at it. So then, like, to the point where I'm annoying Nick. So like, I'm like, oh, I can write just like you because I've played with you since we were kids. And he's like, well, the shit's all like already done. Of course, that's exactly what I do. But it's been very beneficial in improving my songwriting, laying out ideas, and rather than like the only time I got to have my hands off something and hear it was in the studio while we're recording it, and now I can do that and come back to it in a week if I want. And like I've
Right.
gotten so much better at songwriting and just structuring things out and you could just barf all the shit out and then just chop it up and see how it works. So
Right.
I think you should definitely get into it if you're thinking about it because it changes the whole process of like laying out a demo.
Yeah. And I feel like I have um man, I just have songs in my head playing always that I feel like should be out there somehow, you
Right.
know. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if
So
I give up or not.
What were you in bands that did any touring or anything before Acacia Strain, or?
So the only other band I was in that did a tour was the band A Thousand Falling Skies,
Mm,
um, from my hometown, Connecticut. And we used to play with Acacia Strain in the Northeast, local shows all the time. And that one tour we did, it was about 2 weeks, and it was us and the Acacia Strain. And at that time, the original drummer Ben had left the band, and they had actually Mark Castillo was filling in for Acacia Strain. And I didn't know this yet because I was still shit. I was 18. Yeah, I was 18 at this time, and everyone else in the Thousand Falling Skies were in their mid 20s. So they were all like, they did a couple tours, um, like the two prior to a couple years before that. They did a couple like 6 week long DIY around the country tours
hmm
that
Yeah.
didn't really do much. And then they did this tour, and they were just like, "Man, this sucks. Like we're getting older. Like we need to you know we need to let go of the dream, basically."
Yeah. That's
And
pretty
I'll
much
never.
what happened to us. About the same age. Yeah. We're just like, well, we're not making money. Everybody wants to start a family and shit. It's like, what are we gonna do? Things aren't going
Mhm.
well.
We're gonna go home and stay there forever. um, no, so I'll never forget. It was a venue. I haven't never played this venue since. It was in like Deep Ellum in Dallas. It was called the Blood Red Club. It was like right, it was like on the same block as like Trees and shit. What's the other venue that's right over there too? No,
mm, I can't
I can't
remember.
think of it. Can't think of the name right
I
now.
can picture it. Probably the same one, but
Yeah. Well, anyway, I remember it was one night when DL had pulled me up to the roof. We went up there to smoke a little bit, and he was like, "Hey, so how would you feel about joining my band?" And I was like, "Well, I'm already in a band. Like, I can't. I don't want to like leave these guys." And he's like, "Oh, I thought you guys are breaking up," and I didn't know this yet. So
oh shit, he
I was
spilled the
like,
beans.
"Oh, wait, what do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said this already, but I guess someone in the band gave him permission to just be like, dude, go ask him, please."
Okay.
Like, um, and then I remember after that, he was like, "Yeah, if you," he's like, "I mean, it's your spot if you want it, basically." And I was like, at first I was intimidated because I mean I was watching Mark Castillo play
Mm,
their songs every night, and he was changing things from like how they were on record. And
right.
then there was a few songs like 4x4 and As a Set of Fire that weren't recorded yet, and he was playing those songs, and I'm just like, I mean, the dude's got the pocket and groove unlike many other drummers out there.
Right.
So I'm like, God damn, this dude's fucking sick. Like, I'm supposed to be able to, I gotta be able to do this. Um, and then yeah, I was like, oh, sure. I mean, hell yeah, let's do it. I'd love to join. We'd see how it goes, I guess. And then yeah, almost 20 years later,
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
I was sitting there behind that kit.
So
But
what
it was
tour were they on at that time, or what record was that tour for?
oh geez, that was I mean 3750 had been out for a little while. Um there was no record yet. It was after I joined the band, we we toured dude. I mean it was the first time I toured from a second story window. It was before you joined the band. It was when Derek was still playing guitar. Um my first actual full US tour was oh my God, who was the Red Death, Into the Moat, and From a Second Story Window.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was in the early part of 2005. I remember those days, it was like we did that tour and it ended in like Grand Rapids, Michigan. And then we had like 2 days to drive to Denver to start
Oh
like another
shit.
4 week tour.
Yeah.
And then that ended in who knows where, maybe Florida or some shit. And then we had to drive from there, had 2 days to drive to Texas to start like another 4 week tour with like Terror, Remembering Never, The Warriors. Like some of these tours that we did, man, like the fucking lineups were just like
Yeah.
insane. Like it, my God, it's a met. Just think of it right now, a tour right now with Terror headlining, Remembering Never as direct support, us and the Warriors. Like
Holy
that, like
shit.
a tour like that today would be like,
Yeah,
and
that's
then I don't remember if were you in the band already when From a Second Story Window did like a week of the Red Chord and Between the Bear and Me tour?
no.
I think Derek might have still been playing,
Yeah. My first
or
tour with you was
Through
Through
the
the
Eyes of
Eyes
the
of the
Dead.
Dead. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because I remember also in that in 2005, I think we had like those three tours, and then we came home for like a couple weeks, and then left for the it was so it was From a Second Story Window, and I can't remember who else was like the other rotating opener after they were gone because they only did like the first week or so.
Mm.
Um, and then yeah, it was us, someone else, the Red Chord, and Between the Buried and Me. And it was before Alaska came out. It was
Wow.
I think it was Blake's first full U.S. tour with Between the Buried and Me.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Man, that some of these lineups when you like throw them out there, like we I had a tour pass the other day that was like just insane. It was like Devil Wears Prada, Heavy Heavy Lolo, Tony Danza, like just like everyone was fucking on it, and it was our headliner. And we're like, why the fuck were we headlining that?
right,
Uh,
right, right.
so your first record you recorded was The Dead Walk, then?
With them, yeah, yep,
Okay,
yep,
all right. I thought it was Continent for some reason, but then that's not till 2008, so that's totally wrong. So if I
yeah.
said that in the intro, I apologize.
Dude, I'm trying to think. I think the first song that I wrote all the way through, which they already had like the basis for it, but it just wasn't working with like their old original drummer. I think "Whoa Shut It Down" was the first song that I wrote with the band.
What was that? Sorry.
"Whoa Shut It Down."
Okay, got it.
I think it was the first song I wrote with them. And then there was already a couple songs like 4x4 and As If Set of Fire, and there was a couple others that I can't remember exactly which ones that are on Dead Walk, um, that I kind of helped like polish up and solidify. But I remember, so we wrote "Whoa Shut It Down." The first time we ever played it, we had a random show up in Buffalo with It Dies Today, and we played it at that show, and every single show after that, not kidding, every single show that this band had played since then, "Whoa Shut It Down" was on the set list.
That's awesome.
That song has never not been played, um, unless it was like I think the only time. No, I think we even did it like I think we played it both nights on like on the Wormwood It Comes in Waves tour.
Oh,
Like
really?
after the records were done, like we did like a couple extra songs. I believe we still played that song both nights. I might be
That's
wrong though.
sick.
But either way, that was like our yeah, that was one of those songs where I could be asleep and still be. That
Yeah.
was a song where I'd be playing and be like, all right, hopefully there's a fucking Quick Trip or a Love's or a Flying J not far from here once we hit the highway. 'Cause, man, I hope those roller dogs are still looking fresh. Like thinking about what I'm gonna eat for post show uh snack dinner. Um
Those are the best though, like the songs that like you don't have to think, and like
yeah.
comparing them to like new songs, like we're doing some new songs now, some like one that wasn't even recorded on the last two shows, and I'm like I find myself thinking a lot more as opposed to just you're just in the pocket, you're not like it's just like you could be anywhere else in your head.
Yep.
But I love, especially like when you've been on the road for a couple weeks, you get in that zone where you're just like, oh, this is like nothing. That's the best like spot to be in mentally.
Oh yeah. And honestly too, are you guys running a click track now that with
Uh, we can't on some of the old shit because there wasn't one, but we are on the new stuff.
Yeah, dude, it is how much of a fucking. It's like it helps you. It makes you. Well, it made me relax more.
Yeah.
Like knowing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and
Yeah.
like.
I was going to ask you like your thoughts on click versus feel. So you prefer
Um.
click?
Oh, once so the dude. Funny story. First time we ever did the click was our first show back after COVID. It was at the Worcester Palladium parking lot. It was Ghost Inside, Every Time I Die, Us, fuck, what's the name of that band? Great American Ghost, and a couple other bands. But that was our first show with the click.
Okay, so that's
And
pretty recent.
also, so it was 2000, yeah, it was 2020, 2021 or 2022, 2021. No,
Mhm.
God damn it. Yeah, 2021, I think. Um, and so it's August, okay? It was like 62 degrees out and raining. Like of all, and it's August in the north. August in the Northeast is usually not cold by any
Yeah.
means. It's usually sweltering and disgusting. Um, and we just spent all this money on this big crazy playback and like in-ear rig, and we're all excited about it. And I remember Tom Smith, the guitar player we had at the time, he kind of took charge of setting it all up and making sure everything was working all right. And I'm so glad this happened because if it didn't, then we would have just watched like a stupid amount of money's worth of gear just literally just get pissed on and ruined forever.
Ooh.
But it was right before it started raining, and we backlined, set everything up, and then someone else that was coming on stage, like we just had to move the rig for whatever reason because something else needed to go there, like vital. So we moved it, and then about like 30, 40 minutes later, it started downpouring. And of course, that's right above where that was this giant hole in the roof of the stage where all the rain on top that was hitting the top of the stage was funneling and just, dude, it was like a
Holy shit.
fucking, like a, like this wide of water just,
A waterfall.
just straight down. And it was right where that rig was. And it was like, oh my God. Like we did, it's like, thank fucking whatever,
Yeah.
whoever needed that spot. But, yeah. And then of course, the rain stops, show goes on, and then, excuse me, in typical Acacia Strain fashion, right as we're about to start playing, it starts pouring again. So that made for it made for a very memorable evening. Just
Right.
like seeing the lights going and like the rain fucking pouring and people losing their shit in the crowd. Like it
Yeah.
was fucking it was awesome. At the same
No,
time,
that's awesome.
I'm up there like fucking damp and like freezing trying to play these songs
Right.
um, with a click
So what
track for the first time live, and it's like, oh, it was an ordeal. But
what
I
made
will.
you make the choice to try it for the first time or switch?
So when we thought had the idea of doing the 2 nights and then doing Wormwood one night and It Comes in Waves the other night, there was no physical way that we could play It Comes in Waves with all the stuff that's going on there.
Yeah.
There's no way we could physically play that record without playing it to a click because all the different samples that are going on and all the
Right.
different
All the
layers
space
of
in there.
weird noises and shit that we threw in there. Um, so it was basically like, all right, if we want to play this record, any part of it, we have to do it to a click. So it's like, all right, well then we're a click track band now. Um, and thankfully, at least every record that I've done with the band was done with a click. So we were able to. It was very easy to get all that stuff figured out. But man, it's really funny how much you realize you are, playing these songs way too fast.
Yeah.
They are on the record because you go sit there with the click track and you hear the 4 count. And I mean, I'm sure Nick can attest to this too. Like any drummer can. You hear that 4 count and you think you're locked into it quick, and then you start playing, and it's like, oh wait, whoa, I gotta actually slow down a little bit here.
Yeah.
I gotta fall in. I gotta fall in line.
That's exactly what
Um,
he said. He was like, I realized I'm rushing so much on like, because mentally, like, what we have a song at like 190, I think now. like our newest song. So in his mind, that was like faster than he's used to. And then so he's rushing the blast beats and shit. And he's like, it's actually helping me when I thought it would make me feel like, or I thought I was behind and I was catching up, but now I'm relaxed.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay,
Yep. Yeah. The click track is fucking. It's the best because it helps you not obviously it helps you not rush ahead or fall behind. And especially when you're doing a faster part like blast beats and stuff like that. I mean, it helps immensely. You feel weird a lot of times when you're playing it because you're like, wow, I feel like I'm playing this so slow. This like I feel like I look weird doing this.
mm-hmm.
And then you hear it back later and it's like, oh wow, that sounds a lot faster than it felt like I was playing. But
Yeah. And you make sure the grooves and like breakdowns hit harder when they're the right speed. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah,
And two, once you're comfortable enough with it, you could, you know, play back. You could like play back off the click a little bit. Obviously stay with it, but you could draw it back that tiny bit to give something a little more groove and make something hit a little bit harder.
right.
Um, or sometimes, you could, oh, excuse me, you could play ahead of it a little bit just to, depending on whatever you're feeling.
Right.
Some nights, if it was just like a night where you're just like, just not really feeling it, that's the only time it sucks where you couldn't like rush through something.
Yeah.
Like if you just wanted to get it over with. Sorry,
So
I'm
when you,
getting blown up over here.
no worries. Um, so Continent was then the first like record you wrote completely as the drummer in the band.
Yes.
So that's what I
That
wanted to know. Like, what was your like your what's your personal approach and like what was it like as, in the group? Was it like a group effort? Or, I know DL kind of used to take the lead.
so with that record, we were lucky enough to get a friend of ours that owned a studio, Massachusetts, and he let us have free reign of the studio from end of business until opening. So
Wow.
from 8 p.m. every night until, I mean, we never went this long, but it'd be from 8 p.m. until 12, noon the next day. We pretty much had free reign.
Wow.
So for a couple months, every day almost, um, me and DL and our friend George that was doing sound for the band at the time, he's pretty good behind the boards. So he would kind of just like, I guess, produce, engineer the recording sessions. And DL and I would just sit there and whatever ideas we had in our head. Um, it was just so nice to be able to sit there like in an actual studio setting, have a kit fully mic'd up, have his
Yeah.
rig mic'd, and literally at any point, like, hey George, can you just record this real quick? So I can slap like, like
Yeah,
a
that's the dream, dude.
yeah, give us like 130 on the click or whatever, and then like we'll see what we can do. Um, and yeah, that whole record. I mean, it's there were some times we went in there and we wrote something that we thought was like the sickest song to ever exist, and then like we finish it and we're all like, yeah, it's sick, and then like next day we come back and we listen to it and we're like, holy fuck, that was the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What the fuck are we thinking? Um,
It's amazing how your ears change overnight.
yeah. Well, it's like you just get the excitement of having something new, and we were usually a little stony baloney when we were doing these writing sessions, so everything
Yeah.
was cool.
I could
Everything
never
sounded
write
sick.
stoned. I my brain just stops working.
Yeah. See, I can't fuck with that shit anymore. Like it's literal. It's just existential crisis. Like
Oh
just
yeah.
the worst time of my life nowadays. When
Same for
years
me.
ago, that was like, I needed to be high to do anything. But but when I'm in that mode, when I'm in creative mode or like locked in like recording or like writing, it's just once I'm in that headspace of knowing that I have, that job and task to do, it helps immensely. And it just for some reason I don't the like the not fun side effects of smoking um kind of cease to exist.
I can
But
see
it's
that.
for the creative process, it's always a tool that I will still um, indulge in. But if I were to like smoke right now and had to even just go get gas for my car, I'd probably
Right.
walk in the like halfway through the parking lot of my apartment complex and be like looking
Yeah.
around like,
I
wait,
will for sure peel my skin off these days.
yeah, and like just turn around and run back inside, just start sweating like crazy. Like, what's going on? What am I doing in my life?
But that's amazing you guys could sit there and write like that. So like would you come in with like full song ideas or just kind of like parts or he would have a riff or
We were always like we always would start with a riff. It was never because even back then, still, I mean, this is 2007 when we were, writing this stuff, and we didn't. You know, it wasn't like everybody could have a little mobile recording studio
yeah.
like everyone has now. Like for instance, like it comes in waves. I tracked my drums at Griffin's studio that he had in Des Moines, Iowa, and then everything else, like they just had a little mobile recording rig. And when we had
Yeah.
days off at Airbnbs, like Tom and Griffin and Devin would just sit there, for basically the entire time we were at the Airbnb, like tracking stuff.
Mhm.
So that record was recorded all over the United States of America.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, so that's quite a
but
different
like,
like
yeah.
experience as the lineup changed and technology changed and
Mhm.
people probably like to do things different way.
But like back then, 2007, like we didn't have stuff like that, We didn't have it was basically just like, hey, he'd like, hey, I like had this idea today. And like he'd like play the riff and then I would start playing, try to think something to groove it out, or something like some band would put out a song where there was part of it that was super that just sparked something. Um, like I'm sure if you listen to the song, oh my God, not the Kraken, I can't think of the name of it right now. But there's a song on Continent that as soon as you hear it, like, oh, I bet you Bleed by Meshuggah came out right around that time. Because honestly, I remember listening to Bleed on the way up to the practice space or up to the
Mhm.
studio that day, and then DL just started playing like a Bleed-esque kind of thing, and then that's how that song. Oh, the Combine. That's the name of the song. Yeah, it was shameless riff poaching for that.
Right. I still feel though like you guys were pioneers of like those dissonant, crushing, like heavy breakdowns as far as our, hardcore metal scene went. And then like I saw every band and their mother rip you guys off like over the course of the years. And then especially after I took a break from like paying attention, like when I was
Yeah.
out of I come back and I'm like, well, that's an Acacia Strain breakdown. That's an Acacia Strain breakdown. Like I remember like talking to DL on that first tour. He used to talk about like Seven Dust was like his favorite band. Is that right? Like back in the day.
Oh yeah, that's got us. I'm sure that's still his favorite band. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like obviously there's Meshuggah influence in there, but I still feel like you guys were like like pioneers of that kind of sound, and everyone has jacked it to some extent over the years.
Yeah.
If you're a heavy down tuned band,
Yeah, I and people will say that, and then I'll sit here and go, wait, no, what are you talking about? Haven't you ever heard of Blood Has Been Shed, man?
yeah,
Like, but that's another band too. It's like I don't know how this happened, but they're one of those bands that first I don't understand how this happened to them, but they just kind of like flew. They were like right there with the radar, but just
yeah.
barely under it.
Novella of
Um,
Uriel was always in my CD player in my car.
yeah. When Spirals came out, that was all I listened to for I don't know, dude, probably close to a year after they came out, just studying that record
Hmm.
and every little note that Justin played on the drums, just being like, God damn, how do I get that good? Um, but obviously the not really downfall, but Howard Jones, he left to go play in Kill Switch.
Right.
And then so Justin also left to play in Kill Switch, play drums.
Hmm.
So it kind of makes sense what happened with
Yep.
them. Um, I am happy to say though that I did see them play their last show. It was, I believe, 2000. I think it was 2006 Metal Fest. They headlined the upstairs stage.
Oh wow, was that early? Was their last show?
Uh-huh.
Holy shit.
It's either 2006 or 2007. I don't remember exactly, but I remember I stood because we played that day as well. Or maybe no, I don't. I know we played that year, but either way, whether it was the day or not, I remember standing, you know, 2 feet from Justin while he was playing those songs, and like just him, like dude, he just sitting there like it was like nothing, and playing some of the craziest, just like insane polyrhythmic beats, and like just there's parts on that record where it sounds like the dude's got fucking 4 arms, and it's like I don't understand how he's accenting on something else while like hitting other
Yeah.
shit at the same time. It's just insane, but he makes it look so easy, and like he's just just another day at the office. You know what I mean?
I haven't heard Spirals in so long. I have to put that on after this.
Oh yes, you do. Yeah, there's those couple songs on there that you can skip, but like the
Yeah.
weird just like chimes and other. There's like the one with like all the hand drums and stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah, I remember liking the first one better, but then there was some gems on there.
oh dude, that whole record minus those couple like silly songs are just it's just oh man.
Right.
Even to this day, still like it just blows my mind. Um, and I'll sit there and I'll try to because I have one of those Yamaha EAD10s, and those are like a dream for a drummer that wants to
Yeah,
like
Nick got one
cover
this
stuff.
year. He loves it.
Oh, dude, it's the fucking best. Especially if you want to like start covering stuff. Uh-oh, what's Kitty Cat doing?
He needs to look out the window.
Oh, speaking of kitty cats, so
Yeah.
you saw my crazy big ferocious doggy. Now here's my little teeny tiny kitty cat.
Oh my god. Is that a Maine Coon?
Yes, it is.
I have one similar, but he's not full Maine Coon. He's a big gray fluff ball. It's his brother.
Hey, buddy.
Adorable. What's his
Say
name?
hi to the masses. His name is Chaga.
That's cool.
Yeah,
What a beautiful boy.
my daughter named him.
That's awesome.
And at the same time, she was very into Pokemon. So
Uh,
he's also Chagachu, like Pikachu, or the Chew, the Chogs, all different names.
so you guys you were on. So was that like 10 records you did
So we
before
got
you left the band?
Deadwalk, Continent, Wormwood, Death is the Only Mortal, uh, Grave Bloom, It Comes in Waves, Slow Decay, Step into the Light, and Failure Will Follow. And then there was the live DVD. So yeah, like 10. And then there's a couple
That's
like seven
insane.
inches we did. A couple like there was the above below 7 inch.
Do you have one
Um
of those that you feel was like your favorite, or that like it came out and like it didn't hit like you, like it was like what would you say is the most underrated for you personally?
Musically, I would say is Death is the Only Mortal. That was the last one that me and DL wrote together.
I love that one.
Um and that one for me was my most like I guess for lack of a better word, most musical when it comes to drums. It's the most involved record
Hmm.
with drum wise. And I'm lucky that that record was written and recorded when it was because if I had to do that in today,
Yeah.
I'd be having to get rolled out in a wheelchair. Um, no, that record. It definitely. I know there are people that appreciate it, but that record is more musical as opposed to I guess like in your face the typical in your face fashion that an Acacia Train record was.
Right. I can see that.
Um, there was a couple songs on there that people really loved and would always ask for us to play. Um, but that was probably the least. Oh, no, there was Coma Witch was in there too. But Coma Witch was our. I mean, we all have whoever was in the band at the time. That hit Billboard Top 40, which was fucking insane.
No shit. That's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. We had like the cool plaque and all that shit for it, which
Wow,
is
dude. I didn't know
very
that.
cool.
Fuck yeah.
It debuted, I think, number 31 on Billboard Top 200.
That's insane.
Um, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was fucking mind blowing. And then also, so Slow Decay did sold more records. Um, but because of everything else that was coming out at the time, like that week, we didn't hit top 40. But it was on, like the other charts, like the online chart and like the Heat Seekers chart and like all this other weird things. There was, I forget which chart it was, but it was Taylor Swift was number one, Hamilton soundtrack or something like that was number two, and then Acacia Strain Slow Decay was number three.
That is fucking insane.
It was like,
And imagine the people who are fans of those going, "Oh, what's number 3?"
oh, the Acacia Strain. That sounds like it might be something not Slow Decay. Oh, I don't know. That's a little iffy here. Let's play this. Um, but yeah, that
That's
was
fucking insane, dude.
yeah, because I think that came out in 2020 in like the depths of COVID.
Right.
Oh man, I'm probably never gonna find it. I know I had a screenshot of it somewhere, but it was like it was just insane. And it was like a screenshot of like Billboard's actual like Twitter, like tweeting it. So it's like it was
Wow.
very real.
Congrats on that,
It
man.
wasn't
That's insane.
Photoshop.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, it's
For
fucking
like a band of like your sound and like lyrically and how fucking heavy it is to make it up there, it's just fucking awesome.
Mhm. I would have to say, thankfully, um, there were certain topics lyrically that were kind of pulled, kind of got pulled back a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, they're always going to be, at least nowadays, for the most part, um, sad, depressing, probably a little violent, but not necessarily geared towards people.
Right.
Certain certain people. Um,
Did Vincent, did he usually take the helm, or were lyrics a group effort sometimes, or
That's all Vincent. Lyrics and album titles, song titles. That was all him.
nice?
Yeah. Um,
Was it, sorry, go
now
ahead.
he contributes a lot more than he used to musically. There was usually always a part or like a riff here or there on previous records that he like would think of something. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember the end of Send Help on Coma Witch, the breakdown at the end. I remember we were writing that song and it was it was in the garage at a house he was living in at the time in Massachusetts. And I remember like he just like popped his head in the garage. He was like, "Hey guy, I just had an idea. Like, what if we did a part where he just mouthing it? He's like, dun 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 dun." And it was like, you know what? Actually, yeah, I think that's gonna yeah, I think that's gonna work. Um, but so many yeah, I mean it's funny. So many voice notes and like you listen back to the voice notes now and they're so just sound so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then it
I
turned
have hundreds of those from over the years for God knows what project. I listen back, I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I was even trying to tell myself anymore.
yeah. Um, but yeah, dude, it's funny listening back to some of those and just being like, wow, that actually made it on a record. And you wouldn't even probably you couldn't even tell what the riff even like turned into.
Yeah.
Like what your voice memo where that landed. Um, but yeah.
Do you
Um
have a record that would be you would consider the most divisive amongst fans that you guys got the most shit for when it came out? It was like, this isn't what we wanted.
Oh, I'd say that'd probably be a good tie between Death is the Only Immortal and Grave Bloom. Because Grave Bloom was another just like that record just perfectly depicted every one of the band's current mental state in
Yeah.
life at that time. Just very dark, very depressing, slow. Um, just there was nothing, uh, like even like the faster songs on it. Like I don't know, that record is just straight depression
Yeah.
right there.
Got to be in the mood for it. I think that's probably the
Yeah.
one I'm the least familiar with because I always try to like I love everything you guys have done, and that one I can't like remember much from.
There's a couple of my favorite songs that the band wrote around that record. Um, but it's also those. It's like most times my favorite songs are the ones that um never saw the light of day as far as being played on stage.
Yeah. Was that the first
The-
record where you guys kind of started veering towards like the sludgier, doomier stuff?
the record before that, Coma Witch, um, it's like the double album. There's the record, and then there's The Observer, which is just a 30-minute another depression onslaught. just just doom and slow and devastating and just like disgusting and that like that song. I remember the first time I ever listened to it. I was moving out west at the time, and I was like just driving by myself in my car with my dogs, and I was somewhere in like southern Utah, and it was like the sun was like starting to go down, and I pressed play and listened to Observer the first time, and I was just like, I had to like pull over for a minute and just be like, holy fucking shit, man. It's like that song and like anything that can evoke an emotion out of you that strongly, just like you can just feel it, like
Yeah.
everything in it. That's just like, oh God, like it just makes you want to fucking pull over and cry like a baby, you know?
Yeah, anything that can invoke something that serious, like you know,
Yeah,
you did your job.
yeah. I mean, got plenty of heavy bands that can evoke, get pump you up and all this kind of shit. But no, that's when a band can make you feel exactly what they were feeling when they wrote the song, and
Yeah,
especially also being in the band that like being there, excuse me, and like reliving like those feelings. It's just I don't know. It's indescribable. It's just fucking that's my favorite
right.
part about everything about music in
Well,
general.
on the opposite end of the spectrum, uh, do you have like a record that was your favorite as far as the writing and recording experience went?
Um, so I want to say honestly, probably probably Continent because that was the last record where it was like the old school way of writing a record,
Hmm.
that the entire record from start to finish was done that way.
Yeah.
It was just me and DL sitting in a room playing parts, him writing a riff and then me thinking of something to play to it and then piecing everything together. And then um, the recording process was great too. That was the first record we did with Zeus. And he was fun. He was fun to record with. There's some very funny stories I can't tell on this podcast. Some stuff that happened during that. Um, but yeah, the last like old school way of getting things done was with that record. Um, and yeah, it's like it's just so hard for that to happen, I guess,
Yeah.
nowadays with most
There,
most bands. 'Cause there's someone in the band that's got the computer that knows how to use the programs that like. writes it and then records it, and then a lot of times gives the drummer unplayable drum parts because they're just not possible for a human to play.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Forearms.
yeah, 4 arms, fucking 10 legs. Um, but
There's something to a flavor like, or that adds a flavor of like the rawness and grittiness to writing a record that way, as opposed to like, oh, you've clearly had like 6 months to polish this up and chop things out and try this and try that. And
mhm,
I think I'm much better now, but I always keep that in mind, that I can sit there and overwork something to death when there was an element to like, you just laid this down and it was what it was. And then you go
mhm,
to the studio and you record it, and that might be the first time you hear it, unless you demoed it or did a pre-production thing. But
yeah,
um, I'm always trying to keep that in mind, so I'm not sitting here like perfecting something. Like all the little nuances and slip ups and noises and things that makes it all human and great.
right,
So
right, right, right,
don't want to lose that in this process just because things are easy and accessible.
exactly. Um, it's one thing to talk about, like when you first hear a riff, or you first say you demo songs, you have the songs written, and then you get to the studio and the producer gets their hands on them, and like like there's been a few riffs that we had that I was like so in love with the way it was originally done, and so used to hearing it and playing it that way, that it was like there's no way it could be done any other way. Like, why would you want to change this? And then you know say even like the rough track that I tracked my drums to still had the original guitar riff, right? And then it's time for guitars to start tracking, and like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna run to the gas station quick, grab a snack, come back, and like say the riff that I'm talking about, that's like the riff of whatever song that like I was in love with. Um, I come back and it's like a completely different thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
why? Why'd you
Yeah.
do that? Why'd you do that? Sometimes it takes a while, but it'll grow on you, and you'll be like, okay, now I understand. That is cooler or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like one of the hardest things for me during like the tracking, is like things that I thought were like perfect and everyone else thought were perfect, and the producer's like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you gotta do this instead. It's
That's
like,
really
no.
tough because you don't know, because of the way like you might just be used to it and the other way might be better. But so you got to wait till it's done and you hear it and you go, "Okay, I agree." Or I hopefully it's there's very few of those that where you didn't agree in the end. But like
Yeah. Um,
I know for us we had a couple parts where we were stubborn and we were like, "Nope, it's got to stay this length, this way." And now like I listen back and I'm like, we should have cut it in half like he told us. Like
right.
drawn on too long. Shit like that is helpful, but like changing riffs and stuff, that's really hard because I get attached to things.
Oh yeah, dude. Like getting attached to a riff and then it either getting, changed completely or just thrown out. It's like, oh, why? Why?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, all right, let's take that perfect part that we just had to get rid of, and let's write another song then with it real quick.
Yeah.
And then it usually end up never works out that way. I don't
Nope.
know.
What was it like writing the latest one, Failure Will Follow, Step Into Light, that was double album.
Mhm.
Like that seems like a lot to chew on because they're one is sludgy, doomy, slow. One is more the typical Acacia strain, more upbeat stuff. Like
Mhm.
that is a lot to tackle and record and writing. Like what was that whole process like?
Well, we showed up to the studio with no music.
Wow.
Mhm. There was maybe two songs, maybe. Um,
But you knew going in you wanted to do this double album idea, or was it
yes, that
just
was
we're
the
gonna?
idea. That was the idea the whole time. Um, like a lot of the riffs from on the slow record are the majority of those riffs are riffs from Step Into the Light, just slowed down
Oh,
and
that's cool.
manipulated a little bit. Like which one is it? Is it Pillar of Salt or Basin of Vows? Whichever one starts out with Ethan from Primitive Man with his guest spot right in the beginning. Like the beginning of that part, like the slow chugging,
Mm.
that is um That is, oh my God, what's the name of that song? Good Lord. I don't remember anything. I haven't been in the band for so long, I forget and everything.
You said Ethan, Basin of Vows?
Bass in the Vows. Okay, yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
That opening riff is the ending riff from. Come on now. Come on, Spotify, go faster. Let's see. Oh, Flourishing. The song
Okay.
Flourishing. The
That's
opening
really
song.
neat.
Yeah, it's like it's and Flourishing is like dun gun 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 gun. But and Bass in the Vows is just gun gun gun.
Yeah.
It's the
Now
same
people
riff,
listening to this are
just
gonna go. I got to go find all the ones they redid. That's
yeah.
sick as fuck.
Oh, dude, little silly story about Ethan's guest spot. So we were on that tour Fit for an Autopsy when we were getting a lot of like the final mixes back for Step Into the Light, Failure Will Follow. So we wanted to show Ethan his part, and his part is just, dude, it's so fucking amazing. It's just so sick. His voice is just was like made for that part. And I don't know if you ever met the guys in Primitive Man, or I'm not sure if you know what Ethan like looks like, but he's a fucking house of a human being. He's super tall. He's just giant dude. Um, and you could tell like you hear his voice, you're like, this guy has to be a fucking giant.
Yeah.
Um, he was he was telling us, and like his talking voice, he's kind of have like a little bit of like a softer voice, which is like another thing where you just don't expect.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I was sitting on my couch and just have my laptop, my computer, or a laptop in my lap, and have my microphone. And I had to keep stopping the takes because my dog kept getting scared. So so the only full take that I got through was the one that was actually used. Is he's sitting there on his couch with his dog, like he's petting his dog with one hand and then holding the mic and like doing his part.
And doing this
And just
gnarly part.
yeah,
That's
and just
great.
like doing this just devastating vocals, and he's just sitting there just petting his dog to make
That's
sure he doesn't get
amazing.
scared. Yeah, it's hilarious.
So
Um,
you went in there and wrote all of this in the studio and recorded as you went, or like how did that?
so I still everything was written and like drums were done MIDI at first. Um, and with the way that Randy works is he does drums last, which is actually very sick to do.
Weird.
I At least for me, I always liked, at first, like go in there, get everything done, and then let everybody else fucking waste away for the next like 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it made it for me easier to like, because every record I've ever done, there's always some part where if I listen to it back now, I'm like, damn, I wish I did this there, or I wish I
Yeah.
accented this part there,
Every
whatever.
time.
So now I was able to digest the stuff a lot fast, like a lot more, um, and then figure out just everything
Yeah.
so much easier. I had to be more familiar with the songs. I was more happy with what I thought of doing and wasn't constantly like, because even in the studio, you're listening back to something and it's like, your drums are taken down, like not mic'd up anymore. And it's like, fuck, I really wish I could have done that part again. Like say it all kind of
Right.
loud. And like someone like
That's
Zeus would be like, too bad, bud. The drums are gone, dude. He's like, the drums are gone.
yeah, that's always the scary part.
You had your chance.
Is
Like,
like we're done. All right, tear it down. Like, are we good? And you're always like, I'm not sure if I'm fucking good.
dude, and people are so eager to help you break down your drums in the studio as soon as you're done tracking. They can't wait for you to be fucking gone. um, but yeah, with those records, Randy, um, I mean, if it wasn't for Randy, that record wouldn't have been written the way it was, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Randy was a very, very, very large part in the writing process. Vincent was right there as well. He he wrote more on that record than I think out of every band member, I think it was Vincent wrote the most, basically. But it was mostly his ideas or
That's
like,
cool.
mouthing out like an idea to Randy or something like that. And then Randy just being the fucking genius he is, he's like, oh, you mean like this? And you like play it and be like, yeah, actually, like
Yeah,
exactly like that.
that's exactly what I meant.
Yes. I was like, wow, okay. Um, and yeah, that was an interesting one because yeah, it was kind of scary rolling up to the studio and Randy being like, all right, so what we got? Like the demos, guys. I know you guys sent me like those two songs that I guess you want to call them songs.
Yeah,
It was like, yeah, that's kind of all we got, bud.
that's all we get. That's all we got, and we want to do a double album.
Dude, oh my God. And I remember because we had a Dropbox and there was a lot of just like singular riffs in there. And I remember Randy being like, so like, what do you guys got? Like, you guys don't have much, right? Like, not much ready to prepare for this. I remember somebody was like, well, we have that Dropbox full of riffs. He's like, what riffs? Like, there ain't much in there. And it was like,
Like,
no,
ooh,
there was like a very good amount of files in that Dropbox. But he was like, no, that's you want to go through there and find a riff that you think's going to be worthy of going on an Acacia Strain record? Okay, go ahead, have fun,
wow,
find a riff, find one. But it was his like tough love to be like, come on, guys,
yeah.
you fucking what the fuck? Like, you can do better.
That's great though. Yeah, sometimes you
Yeah.
need a kick in the ass, especially like when you're touring all the time. Then it's like you kind of get in that cycle of like, okay, now it's time to write a record, and you might not be, thinking clearly, or you might be tired, and you're like, okay, this is our
Hmm.
10th time doing this, feeling a little burnout, exhausted. So it's nice to get like a fresh set of ears and eyes on everything, and be like, you guys can do better. I've heard what you're capable of, and you're like, kind of like, oh, wake up a little bit and go, okay, you're right.
Yep.
How long were you
Yeah.
guys in there for to write and record everything all at once?
I think it was like 4 weeks or 5 weeks, maybe six.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have to travel up. I couldn't stay there the entire time because it was in New Jersey, so it wasn't like the craziest drive for me to come back home. Um, for like my days of the week with my daughter.
Right.
Um, so I had to go back and forth quite a bit. So it was pretty insane sometimes to like be there for like a couple songs to be written and then gone for a few days and then come back and there's like a few more songs written and it's like, whoa, it's like fuck, I wish I was there for that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like, all right, like this is shaping up pretty nicely. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was yeah, like I said, it was very nerve-wracking showing up and being like, yeah, dude, we're prepared to pay you a bunch of money. Um, but we have no songs to record.
Yeah. I think it
Please
would be
help.
scary.
Please help.
I've never, always gone in with something at least. Like I think when we did conversations, we did a pre-production. We did two pre-productions for that, but like, I think that would be exciting and scary at the same time. I would love the challenge to try that and go in with like just some loose ideas and a grand kind of picture, but
And
as long
especially
as you
with
had the time and money to do it, yeah.
oh yeah, and especially with a producer that is like fully on, like fully gets everything that you're trying to do. Like
Yeah.
there's no having to explain to Randy what the goal is, you know?
Yeah. That's perfect. Um,
So yeah, thankful for that the Randy man. The Randy man can.
the Randy Man can.
The Randy man can.
So one thing I wanted to ask you that I don't know if my memory is correct. There was one time you guys had a pretty serious van accident.
Yes, sir.
So what happened there? Everyone was okay, right?
Yeah, the worst injury out of there was our tour manager at the time. He was sitting shotgun. He had a separated shoulder.
Okay.
But we were all right. So this be a little long winded, but so we were on tour in Europe, and we only had like a 4-day break between that tour and starting a U.S. tour. But the U.S. tour started out in California. But during that 4-day break was Thanksgiving. So we said, hey, merch guy, sound guy, tour manager, how about you take our van and you drive it out to the West Coast for us with all our stuff. We'll stay home for Thanksgiving with our families since we were just in Europe for fucking a month. And then we're all gonna fly out and meet you there. We'll see you there. That van in Texas at one point, um, whoever was driving was running out of gas, and they were in Texas. And I know like every touring band knows this. Like, if there's sometimes where like you might not need gas, but you probably should stop anyway because you never know when you're going to see another gas station.
Right.
He saw one of those like U-turn things in the highway, and just kind of like panicking and like freaking out that we're going to run out of gas. He went to go pull that U-turn, but didn't see this car going like 80 miles an hour in the left lane. And when he went to switch and turn, it was more like instead of switching and then turning, it was kind of like a combo. He just went to do the U-turn from like the middle lane, and that car T-boned that van. We band members weren't in this one.
Okay.
But the van got T-boned, knocked on its side. Our tour manager, he was sleeping up in this bunk that we had built, which we had these bunks put in the van right before this. And if was Swiss working with us when you toured with us?
Swiss. I don't
Remember
remember.
Swiss? Is our merch
No,
guy? No,
I
maybe
can't
not.
remember. I don't think so.
Yeah. But either way, he built these bunks in the van, and he used 4x4s as like the reinforcements to hold everything up. And because of that, that is basically the only reason why our merch guy that was sleeping up on top of the bunk didn't die.
Wow.
Because where the car hit the van, if there was like 2x4s or anything less like dense, the
Yeah.
van would have caved in so much more. He would have just become crumbled.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. But when the window broke, the van went on its side, his feet got dragged under the van. And it was nighttime, so he said that when he crawled out of the van and looked down, his feet were covered in blood, and it was dark. So, but at first he looked down and he thought his feet were gone.
Oh my God.
So he had this like freak out moment, like, oh my God, my fucking feet are gone. But luckily he was okay. There was a couple of nerves that got like severed. So like there's like a part of his foot he'll just never feel again. Um, but meanwhile, we're sitting at home eating turkey and mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie with our families, and
Right.
these guys. But like, more power to them, man.
Yeah.
They were all okay enough to the point where they got a U-Haul, put all our shit from the trailer into the U-Haul, and then finished driving it to California.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we
Thankfully,
didn't
they're
have
okay.
yeah, we didn't have our van and trailer when the everybody was involved. But it was like 3 or 4 days into the tour. We were driving from Lancaster, California. I think it was to Phoenix or Mesa. It was either somewhere in Arizona, or we had a day off to get to Texas. I forget which one it was. But we had just crossed over from California to Arizona, and there was this truck that we kept playing like kind of like cat and mouse with. Like, we'd pass him, and then he would come up and pass us, and then he would like drive like just I don't know if he was just doing it on purpose, but he would just start driving. He would just be driving way too slow. So we'd pass him again, and then um, Vincent was driving. He goes to pass the truck again, and this fucking asshole like drifts into our lane some. And mind you, this van was not in good shape whatsoever. Like, to drive the van straight, it was like a Ford, so like you have the center of the steering wheel is normally level.
Yeah.
Like, it had to be like this.
Oh man.
Like, when you were drive it straight, and when you hit like a certain speed, the whole van was like really shaking. Like, it was just a nightmare. No brakes on the trailer.
Oh.
It was just
Yeah.
nightmare situation all around. But so when he drifted over and made Vincent kind of go over off to the shoulder some, and when he came to come back to correct himself, and with having no brakes in the trailer caught the momentum, and I could feel the van start swaying. And I remember I was on the phone, and the phone call got cut off because I lost service. And I remember sitting up in my bench and just seeing Vincent like white knuckling, like freaking out, and Bruce, the tour manager, being like, "Don't hit the brakes! Don't hit the brakes! Don't hit the brakes!" And what does he do? Taps the brakes, and I just remember hearing like the tiniest like chirp of the tires, and then
Mm.
there we went.
Oh, shit.
We rolled. I don't know how many times. We ended up on the top on the upside down, slid for I don't know how long. There was no gas cap on the van, and we had just filled the gas tank. So
Oh,
we're laying there, we're sitting there, everybody's screaming like, "You okay? Everybody okay?" Like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" Um, and where I was, it was not the very back with the one bench in front of that. And normally, I had enough room if I was leaving the van to like very easily crawl over the bench
yeah.
and like kind of stand up and like punch my way over. There was about this much space now between the top of the bench and the roof of the van. So
Fuck.
me and our sound guy, we were trapped in the back. The back doors were fucking crumpled shut. And I was trying to put my boot on so I could kick the window out, and then all of a sudden I just hear, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I go to crawl out, and poor Chris, like he's still like his hand, like these three knuckles are just like one knuckle now.
Oh, man.
Comes he was just you know punching as hard as he could. Oh, and Chris, so when straight from the path got in their van accident, he was working for them at the time. Okay, and then he got into the accident 4 days prior to this one,
Oh,
and then got into that one. So it now all happened within a year. So this fucking poor dude who had got into three fucking van flips
god damn.
within a year, and I'll never forget hearing him go, "Are you fucking kidding me? Not again!"
Oh, shit.
As we
Dude.
were like about to fucking go
Yeah.
see you.
And
Um,
everyone made it out of that one without anything serious either?
yeah, that was the one where Bruce had got a separated shoulder. I think Vincent got like glass in his kneecaps, like when he was crawling out of the van. From the gasoline pouring out. The guitar player we had at the time, Tony, he crawled out through that, and his like pants got soaked in gas, so he had like a little bit like chemical burn on his leg.
Yeah.
Um, but it was nothing. There was nothing like nothing serious, nothing super serious, other than um, seven extremely traumatized people of being in any sort of vehicle ever again.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
oh,
Especially
dude,
the
I remember,
gas thing and the fear of like a spark or something going
dude,
up. Like, yeah.
any slight like jerk or unnatural movement. It's even now, if I'm not driving the
Yeah.
vehicle, whatever I'm in, I'm like, what, what was
Yeah.
that? What was
I'll
that?
never
What was that?
forget that.
No, never. And even like touring as well, like anybody else driving at night, like and like oh man, it would be so hard to sleep
Yeah. I bet, dude.
because it was just oh god, that's one thing I'm just so happy I'm not in a fucking van with a trailer towing thousands of pounds of gear that's just a fucking torpedo ready to kill you if in the event
Yeah.
something like that happens again.
We lucked
Um,
out, had a few small things happen, like went off the road, the brakes went out, but we didn't flip or anything. So, but that was always on my mind because I know, you hear about other bands and you're reading Lamb Goat and like then all the van flip jokes and you're like, fuck you. Like,
yeah,
but
man. It was one of those things where it's like we had toured so much and we were gone so much all the time. Like we had so many close calls that it was like, third time's the charm kind of thing. Because same thing, we've like spun out in the snow and like the van had spun in them like spun multiple times. Actually, on that tour with I think it was the tour with Who the Eyes of the Dead and you guys. where we were driving. We were somewhere, I think it was on I-80 or I-70. The dreaded. Everyone wants to skip that part of the country in the wintertime because of those
Hmm.
those those roads. They're just fucking treacherous. Where we were driving, and then just out of nowhere, it was just like nice, clean pavement, sun, and then within like 30 seconds, it was insane snow, drifts coming up from everywhere, wind blowing all over the place.
Yeah.
And then we ended up like whoever was driving, like freaks out, hits the brakes, and then the whole van just spun around a few times, and then like you land against the guardrail facing the wrong direction, and there's like 10 tractor trailers coming at you, and they're all like,
Uh,
it's like, ah.
yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I do not
Yeah,
miss that part of it at all.
no, no. And
I
that's
think
usually
we
when like shit like that would happen. It'd be like, all right, I'm driving, get the fuck out of the driver's seat.
Yep. I
I'm
think
coming.
we canceled a whole part of a tour because we were in the Pacific Northwest during the winter, and we're like, why are we fucking here? And like we had a van issue, and then we were like, okay, we're not going to risk our lives for like these 3 shows up here, so we'll just meet you in
Yeah,
California. And we ended up staying in Denver at like a friend's house or something. But yeah, that's just not worth it.
yeah. That is like, man, uh, any touring band out there, I don't care how hungry or how many dues you gotta pay or whatever, man. Just don't just avoid the Pacific Northwest or having to take any route to get up there during the wintertime. It's just not fucking worth it, man. I-70 and I-80 are death traps during that
No.
time of year.
Yeah. If I were to ever tour again full time, I would be like summer and spring only, maybe fall a little bit, but there's no
Oh yeah.
reason to tour in the winter.
No. And if you are going to tour in the winter, you just, you know, you start from wherever home is, and you bring yourself down south and
Yep.
do a little bit of Midwest, and then just go all the way down along the bottom and then go up California a little bit and then make your way back.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, I
shit.
mean, oh, fucking A, dude. Wintertime touring. No, thank you. And
No.
in the last
On
few
to
years, we were going to Europe for wintertime. So it'd be like,
oh,
it's not much different. You're
yeah.
still in the northern hemisphere. You're still in winter.
True. Yeah.
Like there's
I
still
was gonna
some
wonder, are like
very
some
not
parts in
fun.
summer, but no, yeah, it matters where you are, north, south, not
See,
east,
that was
west.
always the fun part about like whenever we went to Australia for the most times, it was always in December, but that's summertime for them.
Right.
So it's like it was always funny. Like we'd be there around Christmas time, and there'd be advertisements at like stores, and it's like Santa wearing a Speedo with like sunscreen on his face and like
Oh,
playing
that's so
fucking
weird.
volleyball, and it's like beat the Christmas heat with fucking whatever this drink is, and it's like,
Ah, that's so weird. I never
yeah,
thought, but they grew up that like that, so that's normal for them. Like Christmas is
yeah,
sunshine and heat.
hmm yep.
And over
Christmas
here, I'm
is
like, if it doesn't snow during Christmas, it's not Christmas.
right, right. Um, yeah, that was there's those being in certain parts of the world at certain times, uh, all those different culture shocks was
Right.
always fun. That's the one
Well,
thing too I'll miss is like places that I haven't been yet.
yeah.
Um, if the band ends up going there, but I mean, I feel like I've been to some pretty damn. I've been around.
Did you guys go to
I wouldn't.
Japan?
Yes, and Japan is my favorite place on the fucking planet. We
I
went
was gonna ask. Yeah.
there. I think we went there 4 times or 5 times, three
Fuck
or
yeah.
four. I can't remember. Australia, we went there a handful of times. But there was one year we went. It was supposed to be when they had that. It was the year where oh, fuck, I forget the name of the festival that it was going to be. But then, like right before it was supposed to happen, the owner had to like back out.
Yeah.
But all these bands had already like pretty much fully paid for them to be there, so they ended up having to do all sorts of different shit. But we were one of the bands that still went, and we ended up doing. It was Australia, New Zealand, um, Indonesia, Philippines,
Wow.
Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and Japan with Every Time I Die.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That is awesome. We never got to play or tour with them. I always wanted to.
Um, Yeah, it's one of my favorite human beings on the face of the earth, Andy Williams. I'm so
Mhm.
grateful that I know that guy. And there's a specific reason also why I'm very grateful I know that guy that I can't talk about right now. But
Yeah.
there's going to be some cool things happening soon between me and Mr. Williams.
Oh fuck yeah,
Um,
dude.
yeah, dude, I just got a random text like 2 months ago, and it was a question that it was impossible to say no to. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
keep your eyes peeled, kids.
yes, eyes and ears.
um, so I saw in your Instagram you currently have a couple of projects, right? That you're
Yeah,
playing in?
so there's a band from here. Well, I live in upstate New York. I live in Troy, right next to Albany. There's a doom metal band that I joined. It's called Karn Wennen. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna let him say it first because I don't want to try to pronounce that.
Yeah. So Karn Wennen, um, that is the name of the of King Arthur's like special dagger.
Oh no shit.
It's
That's
something like
cool.
that. And then you look up, it's like the translation for Karn Wennen, like what it means in whatever like language that it or like, was derived from. It means like it means like tiny pointy knife or something like that. It's like the least hard thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know what language that feels like. Maybe Irish. What do
It's
I know?
definitely it's what yeah, it's some sort of old time English
Hmm.
wherever King Arthur or whatever village he was from. Um and then a blast from the past band. This band Dry Kill Logic. They haven't played a show in 20 years, but
Okay.
as everyone knows, lately, last couple of years or so, it's been all the big fests that are going on. It's all about getting those nostalgia bands, those
Right.
bands to reunite and stuff like that. So the band I was in before Acacia Strain, A Thousand Falling Skies, our bass player Brendan, after A Thousand Falling Skies broke up, he ended up joining 100 Demons for a while, and then he joined Dry Kill Logic. And another random text a few months ago, he was like, "Hey, I was wondering if you'd be down to play some shows here or there." And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure. What are they?" And it's like all the biggest fests
Oh
that the
shit.
States has to offer.
Fuck yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, our original drummer, he has zero interest to do any of this. So if you'd want to, step up on the helm and play these shows with us, that'd be great." Talk logistics and everything, and it was another thing. Which was like, "Fuck yeah, dude! Like,
Yeah.
not have to tour, but get paid to go play some fucking awesome shows.
Yeah, and
Like
probably fly to most of them.
flying to every single one, baby.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what's
Oh,
up.
it's gonna be the best. Even like I no, I don't think we're not driving because there's two shows that are next to each other. There's the one in Wisconsin at Rockfest, and then there's Incarceration in
Yeah.
Ohio, and I think we're still flying between those two, which is
Nice. Fuck yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna fly into these places a couple days before the show. There's like already rehearsal spaces booked for us to like, just get up there and just to fine tune things before the day before show. I was gonna get there, have a nice hotel to stay at,
Yeah.
um, get paid, play some songs in front of fucking massive crowds. It's gonna be fun.
Dude, if I could just do the fest thing every year and live that dream life like that, okay, I can keep going. We tried to
Yeah,
get on incarceration, but we didn't make it. But that's pretty close to our hometown.
right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm most excited about is playing on the grounds of where fucking Shawshank Redemption was filmed.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
When is that? I might have to try to make it out there.
Oh, dude, just let me know. It is. Let me pull up my Instagram here so I could find the answer for you. Incarceration is we play on that Saturday, which is July 19th.
Okay, sweet. I don't think I have anything planned then, but I'll try to get up there.
Well, you better not have anything planned.
I know my girlfriend Gladys is coming up probably sometime in July, but we haven't. She might come up for 4th of July though. So other than that, band has nothing till August. We're doing
Mhm.
Chicago and Detroit, and that's all I got. So I'm pretty open.
Cool. So
Yeah, dude.
are you back in Ohio now?
I am. Yeah, I lived in LA for 8 years, and then I lived in Texas for 7 years
Uh-huh.
in Austin. And then when the band got back together, I decided to come back here because my dad was also getting old. He was 80 and he was alone. I was like, all right, I'll come up here. My girlfriend Gladys, she bought a house in like Kyle, Texas, outside of Austin. So she's
Uh,
like, I'll stay down here. You go up there for a while. I just rented a condo here, and then we'll figure out what to do in a couple of years. But we don't have kids, so we can do that and just visit back and forth. I just went down for her
yeah.
birthday. So I was like, all right, I'll just see what happens. I'll be around for at least till the end of the band. We only plan to do it for like a couple years. And I'm about 5 minutes from where I grew up and band practice. And it's chill as fuck up here and cheap to live. So it's been a nice break from the Texas heat too. Like I really,
Yeah.
really loved our summer last year. I missed that for sure. Um, but yeah, it's cool to be this close, and we're still practicing in the same spot we were when we were in the band back in the day in Nick's mom's basement.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, same little soundproofed room down there, minus the wall that's open now. But it's the
Hmm.
nostalgia of walking in that room twice a week for practice has been really cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I just there's this spot around here called North Albany Studios that throughout the years, like before tours, Acacia Strain would like if we knew a band that had a room in that place, it'd be like, hey, can we just kind of borrow your room for, a couple days here and there?
Hmm.
So I have that kind of that little like where I have all my stuff now. Um, it's fucking ridiculous in there. There's like I have like five drum kits just in there, just shit everywhere. I need to start I need to start getting rid of stuff because it's just literally there's stuff that's just sitting there that I haven't touched or don't plan on touching for who knows how long.
Right.
But same kind of feeling walking in that place and just like it's never changed. It's
Hmm.
even from the first time I went in there to practice, who knows what, 15 years ago or so maybe.
Yeah.
It's just always been the same little warehouse U-shaped building with rooms lining the
Right.
halls.
This probably smells the same.
Yes. Also, during the summer, the Albany like dump and like sewage plant is like within a mile away, like
Oh
across the
shit.
way. So on those nice humid summer nights, you get that nice shit piss smell that just comes
Oh,
rolling
beautiful.
on in. Yeah. It's nice when you go outside, you get some fresh air, and you're just breathing in half of Albany's fucking fumes. Ugh.
Yeah, that sounds pleasant.
Mm.
Well, I think we could about wrap it up here. Is there anything else you'd like to shout out? Anything else you got coming up that you can talk about or that we should look out for?
Just got those fests with Dry Kill Logic, and a couple one-off shows. There's what is there? There's Welcome to Rockville, Rockfest, that's in Wisconsin, Incarceration, and then there's also Aftershock, that's all the way in October though.
Mm.
That's in Sacramento. And then there's a couple shows in Brooklyn and New Jersey. And just playing shows with my band from here, Karn Wennon, um, which is that's just it's just fun being in a doom band where I mean there's some practices where I can leave and I don't even break a sweat, which is awesome. It's just
Yeah. Especially for the drummer, that's always nice. Like I always joke, like Nick, we finish a practice. Nick's got to go home and shower and go to bed, and I'm showering before I go to practice, like clean myself up, because
yeah,
we just get to stand there. You guys have the hard part.
yeah. We gotta fucking move our whole goddamn bodies.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's some stuff I can't talk about it yet, but it'll come to light very soon.
Well, I like that
Um,
tease that you threw out. That gets me really excited for whatever it might be.
yeah, it's gonna be cool, man. I'm very excited about it. Um, yeah,
Sick.
yeah, it's I'm just right now where I'm in my musical journey. I'm very, very happy and content.
Good, dude.
I'll
That's good to
gladly
hear.
take on more. I'll take on more. Give me more, please. I will gladly play drums on your records, or fill in for your drummer, at for some cool shows. But I won't. I will not tour unless it's in a bus and I'm getting paid very stupid money. But
Yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
Never know. That's the dream though. And
It
yeah,
is.
I agree. Like no more touring like that. We're too old for that shit.
No, no more
It's a
vans
young
and
man's
trailers
game.
for me.
And
Yeah,
it
no
even
more vans
sucks
and
when you're
trailers.
that young. Yeah.
Oh, it does suck, and you don't realize how much it sucks until like you have that one moment or like that one tour where like you become friends with the headliners that have the bus, and you get to stay on the bus for a couple nights on the tour, and then you get to go back to the van, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh God,
Yeah.
like I have to do this. I have to get back
We
in
had a
my
tour
van.
bus one time in Europe. We shared it with All Shall Perish and Walls of Jericho. And I
Mhm.
was like, holy fuck, people get to do this all the time. Like, I have my own bed and a curtain I can close. And like, there's like a
Yeah.
table to sit at. This is amazing. And you get
Hmm.
paid?
Yeah, and you pay, and there's a coffee maker. There's a fridge with full of drinks. There's usually
Yeah.
whatever rider food wasn't eaten yet. It's in a giant cardboard box just sitting on the downstairs lounge waiting for you to just fucking dive into.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I
that's
was hoping to get $5 for Taco Bell money,
right.
which is the whole point of Riff Tacos. But yeah, so if you're listening and you don't already follow Kevin, you can follow him on Instagram, just at Kevin Boutot, his name. His two bands are linked in bio that are, yeah, they're both in there, Carnwin and Dry Kill Logic.
Mhm.
And yeah, brother, thank you so much for doing this. It's been
No,
a
well,
great
thank you for asking
conversation.
me, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Good luck with everything you're doing and all the shows you're playing this summer. That sounds like a blast. Thank you to everyone who has joined us to listen today. Remember to subscribe to the show on your platform of choice, leave a rating, hit the like button, leave a comment with your thoughts and who else you'd like to see on the show. And thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one.